Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing AlpenFury at Canada's Wonderland. Now before we get into this review, I just want to say I should be uploading more consistently now that the Seabreeze season is, well, it's technically not over, there's 2 days left, but it's pretty much over. I was working there a lot this summer, which is part of the reason why I didn't really have the time to upload too much this summer, but hopefully now that it's September, I should be back to normal. I should be able to upload a few times a week. But anyways, let's start talking about AlpenFury. I went in thinking this would be top 10 worthy, maybe even top 5 worthy, I didn't really know. But I left thinking this was my number 2 overall. I was just stunned by how good this ride was, how powerful it was, the pacing, how powerful the inversions were, everything. And I'm going to explain how this ride is so good in this review. So let's start off with the presentation as I usually do. This ride looks partially great. I think aesthetically the ride itself is perfect. It has maybe the best color scheme on any coaster. I love the blue supports and the white track. Of course, you got this thing jetting out of the mountain. That looks really cool. I'll say right now, I'll just get to this part right now. The theming inside the second launch is really cool. You got this rockwork flashing red and blue, and it looks really nice as you're flying by. And also, this thing is loud. I mean, one of the loudest coasters I've ever heard. I would honestly say it's louder than any B&M, which is really saying a lot. The whole Alpenfest area looks really nice. You got the flags hanging up and everything, and it just looks pretty immersive. I also like how they made the supports brown in this area. But what I will say is the regular queue looks absolutely brutal. You're seeing it right now. It is just a cattle pen. It holds a lot of people, I'll say that. There's a lot of people in that queue. I don't want to imagine how brutal sitting in that 3-hour queue must be. I really wish they'd add theming to the main queue. The fast lane queue has a few posters, but there's not too much to see. But then once you get into the actual station, it looks pretty nice. It actually does have that ski lodge feel to it, which I really wish they would have integrated into the main queue and even the fast lane queue. Now, before we get into the trains and the ride experience, I want to talk about the other big con with this ride. And I think you all know what I'm about to say. Everyone complains about it. It's the lines and the capacity. I have no clue why they went with 18 passenger trains with only 2 trains. It makes no sense for this park. I really wish they would have added another block zone or something so they could add another train. But I mean, for now you just gotta deal with the big waits. Even the fast lane queue on a summer day, a summer weekday I might add, was 45 to 60 minutes the entire day. It never died down outside of the first 30 minutes. But after that, it just got up to 45 to 60 minutes. So I waited in that 45 to 60 minute line 3 times, and then also once right at the start of the day, second train of the day, so I'm happy about that. So I got 4 rides in total on this thing. One of my rides on this thing was in the second to front left side, one of them was in the third to front right side, and then 2 were in the back left side. So I got a good feel for this ride. I got a lot of different seats, tried out both sides, and I gotta say, there's not a single bad seat on this ride. And honestly, I would prioritize getting the left side over getting the front or back. If I had to choose, I would say the back is slightly better, but you really can't go wrong either way. They did a really good job of making the elements hit pretty similarly in every row. Of course, they can't do that for every element, but we'll get to that later. I do think the left side is definitely better though. There's a few elements that you kind of lose if you're on the right side, or if you don't lose them, they're definitely significantly weaker. So I would definitely try to sit on the left side. A lot of the inversions do feel the same, no matter which side you sit on, but there's definitely a few airtime moments that are significantly stronger on the left side. So now that we talked about which seat you should sit in, let's talk about the trains themselves, because I know a lot of people have issues with the Premier trains, and I gotta say, I love these trains. For me at least, these Premier trains have never been too challenging to get in and out of. I know they got rid of the toe guard on this one, so it's even easier here. The shin guards are never an issue on these for me. They're nice and padded. I will say in the back of a car, so row 3, 6, and 9, there is less leg room, but I don't really care. I keep my legs forward on rides anyways. The lap bars themselves are fine, they're nice and comfortable. They do come down easily during the ride, but that being said, they're also really light, so you can hold them up pretty easily. So I definitely wouldn't complain about these trains, I like them. Now, before we get into the layout, I want to mention the operations. They are really good. They definitely try to get that line moving. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of people in that line. That's why it takes so long. And you've also got a really neat loose article system. They've got what I like to call the bin coaster, where the bins go around this like track. You put your phone and small loose articles in them, and you'll see them when you get off the ride. They'll come around to you. I really like it. No lockers, no memorization required. You just put your stuff in that free bin. Now, if you do have a larger loose article, like a big bag or something, you will have to get a locker for that. But thankfully for me, the only thing I bring to the parks is my phone, so I don't need to worry about that. Now, with all that being said, let's finally turn out of the station and head into the first launch. This launch is surprisingly punchy. I really like it. It almost feels like Backlot Stunt Coaster's first launch. You definitely get some decent kick there, but this is arguably the weakest element on the ride. After that, you're going to hit this little off-axis airtime hill, and it also acts as a turn into the tunnel. And oh my god, this thing shocked me. In the front right, it doesn't really do a whole lot. You get some weak floater. In the front left, you get weak ejector. In the back right, you also get some stronger floater. Nothing too crazy, but in the back left, this thing is a violent moment of ejector. It is crazy how just sitting on the left side instead of the right side completely changes the element. This thing is pretty much on par with like the Trick Track Double Up on Twisted Timbers. It's that strong. And that's only the first airtime moment on the ride, and one of the weaker ones at that. After this, you're going to head into the tunnel launch. And oh my god, this is my favorite launch that is currently in existence. I wouldn't take it over King Deca's old launch or even Dragster's, but out of the currently operating ones, this is my favorite. This thing is so strong. It is such a short launch track, and if you know me, you know I'm not too big of a fan of launches. I much prefer airtime moments and even other moments of positive Gs, but this one completely caught me off guard. I felt the Gs the entire way throughout this element. It was augmented by the theming in that tunnel, and the pull-up into the first inversion is insane. It's definitely a gray out. It definitely feels like it's 5 Gs or something. It's amazing. I know part of the launch track is on that pull-up, so that's probably why. But man, that is such a good sequence there. And that leads you into the first inversion, which might be the best on the ride. This is, of course, the double inverting top hat. And this is the element where, on my first ride, I realized this was going to be a top 3 coaster for me. The launch and the airtime moment before the second launch are incredible, but this is the element that sealed the deal for me. My first ride was in the back left, and I gotta say, this thing delivered like seemingly less than -2 Gs on this. I had no clue it was going to be that strong of airtime. I knew you were going to get good airtime, but not that strong of airtime. And honestly, it's not too much stronger in the front. It might be slightly stronger, but not that much. And it's also pretty similar on both sides, maybe ever so slightly stronger on the left side. But again, no matter where you sit, this element will be one of the all-time great elements. And that's only half of the element. You're going to flip upside down, and then you're going to hit a barrel roll down drop basically to finish off the element. And this basically does the exact same thing as the first part of it. It might not be quite as strong as the first part of this inversion, but you still get an unbelievably strong lateral ejector moment. The laterals on both inversions absolutely fold you over to the side mercilessly. This is just probably the best inversion of all time. And I will say there is a fire blast that goes off apparently every 15 minutes. I only saw it once throughout the day, which is kind of a shame, but that would be really cool to get that interaction on ride. After that, you're going to hit a bank turn, which really shows off the speed. If you're towards the front, you'll really feel the wind in your face. If you're in the back, you won't as much, but you'll still feel the speed. And I know a lot of people say this is a dud element, but once again, left side comes in handy here. If you're on the right side, you don't really get any forces on this. If you're on the left side, you're going to get an ejector kink coming out of this element. It's really strong, really caught me off guard the first time I rode this because I expected this to be a dud element, but no, if you're on that left side, expect a lateral kink coming out of this turn. After that, you're going to hit the stall. This is my second favorite stall I've ever experienced, only behind Airy Force 1's. The hang time's really good on it, it's sustained for a couple seconds, but just like Airy Force 1's, what really makes it is the ejector and laterals going in and out of it. In the front, I think it's slightly stronger on the right side. In the back, I think it's slightly stronger on the left side. Just the way it's profiled, it's really good. If you're in the back, you're going to get some violent ejector coming out of it, and you also get folded over to the side. Same thing in the front, but this time going into it. And I think you can start to see where this ride really shines, and that's in lateral ejector. This is by far the best coaster ever made for lateral ejector. It's not even remotely close. I don't see how any coaster on the planet can be better for lateral ejector. I mean, this ride was just made for that. It is incredible, and lateral ejector is pretty much my favorite force on any coaster. It is incredible. That's really what I want to see in a ride. And for this to be the best ride at it, I mean, it's got to be in my top 3. Anyways, let's move into the Skyflyer loop. This is what I expected to be my favorite element going in, and I wouldn't say it disappointed me. It's just, I think there's a couple elements on this ride that are better. This element's still really good. You get really strong G's on the helix going up into it. I started to gray out on a few of my rides. It's really intense. You feel the face pulls a lot. And then the airtime pop itself is good ejector, but not quite as strong as a couple of the other pops on the ride. But what really makes this element are the laterals. Oh my god, I think this thing is like a mini version of the Top Thrill 2 Spiral. You get what feels like similar strength to the Top Thrill 2 Spiral in the back right, but nowhere near sustained, so it's not as back-breaking, not as extreme, I would say, but it might even be a better element between the positives going into it and the airtime pop, because the airtime's definitely not as strong on Top Thrill 2 Spiral. I don't know, they're really close, I gotta think about it. If you want just sheer disgusting power, then go for Top Thrill 2 Spiral, but this thing has every force you could want. It's still a fantastic element. And I do think the Skyflyer loop is a bit stronger in the back, but it's also really strong in the front, don't get me wrong, and a bit stronger on the left side. So now let's head into the Ice Winder roll. This one I thought was going to be a mid element on the ride, but it ended up being my second favorite element on the ride. It is really good. You get arguably the strongest pop of airtime on the entire ride going into it. I don't know if it is the strongest, but it's definitely top 3. I think you can make the argument for it being the strongest. And honestly, it feels the same no matter where you sit. Front, back, left, right, they're all extremely strong. I was really impressed with how Premiere profiled these inversions, especially the last 5 inversions. They pretty much feel identical no matter where you sit, which I definitely like because you don't feel cheated. If you sit in a specific seat, you know you're going to get the same incredible experience no matter where you sit. Anyways, yeah, you'll get another extreme moment of lateral ejector, absolutely folding you over, ejecting you out of your seat. It's incredible. Then you'll get this perfect moment of sideways hang time. It's just for a split second. It's just long enough where you feel completely disoriented, have no clue where you are, but not long enough to disrupt the pacing. I mean, this is one of the few moments on a coaster that actually had me lost, where am I? And then the second half of the Ice Winder roll is almost as incredible as the first half. You get another strong lateral ejector moment here. After this, you have the Fire Serpent roll. The first part's an ascending barrel roll, and it's extremely strong no matter where you sit. It does feel similar to the ascent into the Ice Winder roll, but I don't care. If an element's good, keep giving it to me. I don't care if it feels repetitive. And then after that, again, it has this little moment of straight track, or not really straight track, but just sort of gracefully banking, but it's only for a split second, and it's enough to make you realize how disoriented you are, but it's not long enough to make it feel kind of sluggish and disrupt the pacing, which I think that was a perfect balance. Also, they kind of needed it just because of how much track is around the ride. They kind of needed somewhere to go. But then you're going to hit the barrel roll down drop. This is an even stronger moment than that ascent. This is another lateral ejector moment that's reminiscent of that Skyflyer loop or Top Thrill 2 Spiral with how strong the laterals are. and the ejector here is really good too. And now after this is one of the elements that's definitely stronger in the front, and that's this ejector hill. In the front left seat, this feels like Wildcats Revenge's final hill. It is extremely strong. It's slightly weaker on the right side, but not too much weaker. And then in the back, it's still good ejector, but it's definitely not quite as strong as in the front. After that, you're going to hit one last 0G roll. This one's a bit floatier than the others, but you still get weak ejector and pretty good laterals throughout this. It's a very solid last inversion. And then you get a double up to end the ride. You're going to get extremely violent ejector in the front row on this first up. Not quite as violent ejector in the back on the first up, but still extremely good. And then you get weak ejector on the second up in the front and strong floater in the back on the second up. And then you're going to fly into the brakes. This will fold you over, almost in the way Air Force One's ending does. Maybe not quite as extreme as that, but you're still going to get thrown forward on the brakes. Now that's your ride on AlpenFury. This ride also has maybe the best pacing on any coaster I've ever been on. I mean, it feels unnaturally fast throughout the entire layout. This is almost a perfect ride. Honestly, just making this review makes me realize how close this actually is to Air Force One for my number one spot. I don't think I'm going to put it over Air Force One, just because, again, that ending on Air Force One is just so ridiculously powerful, and I think the other elements on the ride definitely are strong enough to combat how many lateral ejector moments and how many quality lateral ejector moments this ride has. So for AlpenFury's final score, of course I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a perfect roller coaster. The only complaint that I would have would be the first hill and the turn after the double inverting top hat are a little weak on the right side, but you can fix that by sitting on the left side. At some point you should get the left side, so that's fine. The quality of the elements on this thing is also really consistent. Like, I would love to put this as my number one. But, I mean, the sequencing in the ejector on Air Force is just too strong to beat, I think. However, this is still easily my number two overall. It has to be a top 3 coaster ever made, like I said. I don't see how more than one coaster that I haven't ridden would be better than this. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but like I said, this is pretty much a perfect coaster. I don't care where you're from, I don't care how long you have to wait for this thing, you have to ride AlpenFury because it is truly one of the greatest roller coasters ever built. So let me know what you guys thought of this review down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.